Against all odds, the boy who studied under streetlights and became a scientist. Imagine a boy sitting under a dim, flickering streetlight. The world around him is dark, noisy, and unforgiving. People walk past, some laughing, some whispering, some even mocking. But he doesn't move. His eyes are fixed on the pages of an old, torn book. That boy had no electricity at home. He had no desk, no lamp, no quiet study room. Yet he had something far more powerful. A dream. A dream so strong that it pushed him from the streets to the stars. This is the incredible, true story of a boy who studied under streetlights and against all odds, became a scientist. The boy's name was Arav. Born in a small village where poverty was the only inheritance, Arav grew up surrounded by hardship. His father worked as a laborer, barely earning enough to put food on the table. His mother stitched clothes for neighbors, making just a few coins each week. Electricity was a luxury his family could never afford. When the sun went down, their one-room house was swallowed by darkness. The only light they had came from a smoky kerosene lamp, which often ran out of oil. For Arav, who loved books more than anything else, nights were the hardest. But Arav wasn't like other children. He was curious. He would ask endless questions. Why do stars twinkle? Why does the moon change shape? Why do plants grow towards the sun? Most of the time, no one had answers. His teachers at school did their best, but they often told him, "You'll understand when you're older." But Arav didn't want to wait. He wanted answers now. So when the lamp at home went out, he picked up his books and walked outside. Just a few steps away, the streetlight at the corner flickered, but to Arav, it was brighter than the sun. That streetlight became his classroom, his laboratory, his world of knowledge. Every evening, after finishing his chores, Arav carried his books to the street corner. He sat on the dusty ground, placed his notebook on his knees, and studied. The street was noisy, cars honking, dogs barking, people gossiping. Sometimes the smell of food from nearby houses made his empty stomach growl. But Arav kept reading. Passers-by often mocked him. "Look at this poor boy, pretending to be a scholar." Some laughed. Others warned him, "Why waste your time? Boys like you end up working in factories, not in schools." But Arav didn't listen. He had learned to shut out the noise. Every night, as the streetlight hummed above him, he solved math problems, copied science diagrams, and memorized pages of history. One day, his teacher noticed the improvement in his grades. Surprised, she asked, "How are you studying so well, Arav?" He smiled and simply said, "The streetlight is my tutor." Arav's hunger for knowledge was greater than his hunger for food. Sometimes, his family had only one meal a day. But no matter how weak he felt, he never missed his streetlight sessions. Books were another struggle. His school library was small, and he had no money to buy new ones. So he borrowed books from classmates, sometimes sneaking them home to copy chapters by hand before returning them the next day. He filled entire notebooks with copied lessons because he couldn't afford his own textbooks. One evening, while sitting under the streetlight, Arav was reading a book on space. A man passing by stopped and watched him for a while. Curious, the man asked, "Why are you studying here in the cold?" Arav looked up and said, honestly, "Because there is no light in my house." The man was touched. He didn't say much, but the next day he returned with a stack of old science books. "Here, I don't need these anymore. Use them well." Arav's eyes lit up brighter than the streetlight itself. That night, he held those books like treasures. For the first time, he felt the universe opening its doors to him. Life, however, was not easy. In his first big exam, despite all his hard work, Arav failed in one subject. People in the village mocked him again. "See, all that sitting under the streetlight was useless," they said. For a moment, Arav felt crushed. He thought, maybe they are right. Maybe dreams are only for the rich. But then he remembered the man who gave him books. He remembered his mother's tired hands stitching clothes late at night, and he remembered the burning fire inside him that refused to die. So instead of giving up, Arav studied harder. He spent longer hours under the streetlight, sometimes until dawn. His eyes burned, his body ached, but his will grew stronger. The next year, Arav topped his class. This time, the same people who mocked him now said, "This boy is destined for something big." One day, Arav's science teacher announced a project competition. Students had to create something innovative. Arav had no money for fancy materials, but he refused to sit out. He collected scrap wires, broken batteries, and old bulbs from garbage bins. With them, he built a small working model of a wind-powered fan. On the day of the competition, other students displayed colorful projects with polished charts and expensive kits. Arav's model looked humble, but when he turned the fan on and it spun using nothing but the wind, the teachers applauded. That was the first time Arav felt like a real scientist. The applause that day was louder than all the mockery he had ever faced. Years passed, and Arav continued studying under streetlights. Finally, he graduated from school with top marks. His dream was to study science in college, but money stood in the way. His father said, "We can't afford the fees." But Arav didn't give up. He applied for scholarships, walked miles to offices, and stood in long lines, often facing rejection. But his persistence paid off. He finally won a government scholarship that covered his education. College was a whole new world. There were labs, libraries, and computers, things Arav had never seen before. He felt out of place at first. His clothes were old, his English was broken, and some classmates laughed at him. But just like before, he ignored the noise and focused on learning. Soon, professors noticed his brilliance. He asked questions that others never thought of. He stayed late in labs, running experiments again and again until he got them right. Years later, Arav achieved what once seemed impossible. He became a scientist. The boy who once studied under flickering lamps was now working in a laboratory with state-of-the-art equipment. But Arav never forgot his roots. He often returned to his village, standing under the same streetlight where his journey began. Children gathered around him, curious and eager. He told them, "I was once like you. I had nothing, not even electricity, but I had a dream, and I refused to give up. If I can do it, so can you." His story spread far and wide, inspiring thousands. He became a symbol of hope, proof that poverty could not kill ambition, that determination could light up even the darkest corners. Arav's journey teaches us something powerful. You don't need perfect conditions to chase your dreams. You don't need money, luxury, or approval from others. All you need is determination, patience, and the courage to keep going when the world tells you to stop. Now, let me ask you, what's your streetlight? What's stopping you from chasing your dreams? Is it money, doubt, fear, or the opinions of others? Remember, Arav had all of these challenges, but he pushed through. So, if his story moved you, write in the comments, "I will not give up." Let's fill the comment section with hope and determination. And if you want more real-life stories of courage, resilience, and unstoppable dreams, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs inspiration today. Because remember, against all odds, a boy studied under streetlights and became a scientist.